What is going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another video. This video is going to be on intermittent fasting and the top 10 mistakes you can make when you're fasting. I've done intermittent fasting for 4 years now. I've had some serious gains, and I've also made some mistakes. So in this video, these 10 things are based around things I experienced, so mistakes I made, mistakes I currently see people make, and questions I get asked daily based around intermittent fasting. So I'm going to try and cover all of them. Today, Junior! Even, not in any particular order, but I'm going to start with one point which is probably closest to me, because I'm obsessed with micronutrients. Micronutrients are massive when it comes to immunity, when it comes to your general health, your recovery, literally everything, even your skin, your hair, everything. Micronutrients are important, and the way you can easily miss these out when you're doing intermittent fasting, you'll fast say for 16 hours, you might fast for 20 hours, you might fast for 14 hours, then you have a narrow period where you're going to eat some food. The first thing you do when you break a fast, not you do necessarily, not I do as well, but I see a lot of people do, is they'll reach for something that's more tasty because they've been so long without food. So they'll reach for the tasty food. Generally speaking, the tasty food is a bit more unhealthy. It's definitely not going to be some broccoli, it's definitely not going to be some, rocket or something like that. They're going to reach something a bit more tasty, a bit more unhealthy, maybe a protein bar they've been looking forward to eating all day. Anyway, my point being, they're going to get full up on foods which are not necessarily micronutrient dense, and that happens often because when you fast, you actually shrink your stomach. Your appetite's not as big, which is a good thing if you're trying to cut weight, but not a good thing if you're trying to fit in stuff like broccoli, asparagus, stuff that's nutrient dense, which is also very filling. So just be completely aware of that and try not to break your fast with something unhealthy. This is another huge one which I see often. People breaking their fast with stuff like pizza, donuts, cakes. Are you crazy? Why did you even bother fasting? When you combine fats and carbs, pretty much in any context, but more so when you break a fast, because you're extremely insulin sensitive. And when you're insulin sensitive, your body says store, and store. Storing a bit of carbohydrates is fine. But when you've got carbohydrates and fat in the same mix, what you'll do is you'll signal your cells to open up, to load them with carbohydrates. You do that, the carbohydrates go into the cells, fine. But if you've got fat in the equation, like I just said, what happens is that carbs will go in and the fat will go in as well, and that's not an ideal situation. Also, in some instances, having like not a fine blend, but an exact blend of carbohydrates to fats, you can seriously mess up your gut. So break your fast with either fat and protein or carbohydrates and protein, not both. Otherwise, you will seriously hinder your gains and you'll actually fast and make it a lot worse by what you eat next. So right now you're probably pretty annoyed at me. I've basically told you to stop those donuts, stop those pizzas, no more breaking a fast with your favorite Instagrammers' ingredients. Well, there is good reason for that, and there's also good reason for having a small meal to break the fast. You've been 16 to 20 hours without food, maybe even more in some instances. Your stomach has shrunk, your body is extremely insulin sensitive. If you then go ahead and pound a big meal, you're going to have a hard time, firstly, digesting it. Secondly, your body's going to go into storage mode. If you have a huge meal straight away to break that fast, you're going to find you're going to store a lot more of it. And also, you're going to be bloated.
Not me. No, physically I don't bloat.
And you're going to feel like death. Trust me, you'll feel tired, lethargic, whatnot. So instead, you want to be looking for small meals. Either a small meal, so say a small chicken breast, like half a chicken breast for instance, or a protein shake or some bone broth. Bone broth is one of my personal favorites. Some collagen. If you're a vegan, I would suggest some pea protein, maybe half a scoop, so around 10 grams of protein or so. You're not going to want to have high fat foods. If you're not on keto and you want to break it with some carbs, I suggest some rice cakes with some lean protein. Just nothing too big. An hour later, you can go and have your big meal, whatever you want, but straight away, break it with something small. Eat that small meal, kickstart digestion, and then go into something bigger. The reason I started intermittent fasting in the first place was because I had a schedule that meant I couldn't eat all day long. I couldn't have that conventional bodybuilding diet. So I started intermittent fasting because it fitted around my schedule. Do not do intermittent fasting if it doesn't fit around your schedule. And do not set yourself an eating window which is unrealistic for you to achieve. If it's unrealistic for you to achieve and you set out with this goal, first of all, you're not going to achieve it. Secondly, you're probably going to do more damage rebounding from that than you are actually going to do by not following at all, period. So set out something you can follow, you can follow, and keep doing it. Don't set yourself unrealistic eating windows saying you're going to fast for, say, 20 hours. Then you're going to have a 4-hour eating window. Don't do that if it doesn't fit with your schedule. If you feel like you can't eat enough in the 4 hours or something along those lines, then don't do it. If you're working and you know you won't be able to eat for hours and hours and hours all the way to the evening, you can have breakfast. Intermittent fasting does not mean you don't have breakfast. It means you fast for a set period of time. You can have breakfast and then just cut off dinner a lot earlier, for instance, or skip dinner completely. It all depends on your schedule. Find something that suits you and stick with it. But then again, like I said, you can chop and change it if your schedule changes for whatever reason. So you may be doing this already, but don't fast every day. People are fasting 7 days a week, 365, like for years and years and years upon end. But fasting every day is not the way to go. Do alternate day fasting. So you're fasting one day, you're not fasting next, and you're fasting one day. What this does is it stops your metabolism from slowing down. It also allows you to eat for your goals as well. If you want to put on muscle and you're fasting every day, you might find it really hard to get enough meals in or to get enough food in within that 8 hours or within that 6 hours or whatever you set yourself out to achieve. So try alternate day fasting. This will prevent your metabolism from slowing down, because what happens is, say if you're cutting weight, for instance, you're eating 1,500 calories, you're eating it for a longer period of time, your metabolism will alter according to those 1,500 calories. So your BMR will go down, your RMR will go down, and basically you'll burn less calories at rest because your body knows it's getting less food. So if you do alternate day fasting, you stop it from making those adaptations. If it's too late and you've made those adaptations, you can add those calories in slowly. You don't want to go into starvation mode and storage mode. You'll increase your cortisol levels, you'll store more fat, and you definitely don't want to be in a deficit for too long. If you're in a deficit for months and months on end, that will happen as well. So bear in mind, if you're fasting every day, you might want to try alternate day fasting. So this has to probably be the most common one and probably one of the funnier ones as well. Don't drink branched chain amino acids. That's BCAAs. Do not touch them. Ditch them completely. First of all, there's always that questionable response to sucralose. Whether does sucralose elicit an insulin spike? In some cases it does. But branched chain amino acids, even without the sucralose, even if you have unflavored amino acids, they elicit an insulin spike. Forget what Terry Crews says. We're not on Terry Crews' diet, we're not living Terry Crews' life, and we might not be actors as well. But ditch that advice. That is the worst advice. If you want to hold on to muscle and you're really cautious, but you still want to do intermittent fasting because it suits you, just stick to 14 to 16 hours fasting. Don't go over that, and do the alternate day fasting like I said as well, and just make sure you're consuming enough calories when you're actually eating. So just don't go into a deficit. Make sure you're counting if you have to. Definitely count if you have to, but if you don't want to count, just try and make sure you're eating enough in that window. Okay, this next one's a big one. Minerals. Most people are mineral deficient in some way, shape or form, but when you're intermittent fasting, you're drinking more water, because you should be anyway. You should be drinking water to help autophagy, to help that cell renewal process. If you're not, then start drinking a bit more now, because you're gonna need to. you can't be deficient in stuff like sodium, potassium, magnesium, period. But if you are when you're fasting, you're going to disrupt a lot of cellular functions. You're not going to be able to function at your optimal levels. And you may experience dizziness, you may experience muscle cramps, you may experience serious fatigue for just no reason. And you don't want that, especially if you're training fasted or if you're training on that same day. You don't want to feel that way at all. So make sure you're getting some minerals. One way you can do that, put a pinch of like good quality salt, like some Celtic salt or some Redmond's real salt, or just a good quality sea salt as well would suffice. But I have a preference for Celtic sea salt even. And you can put a bit of cream of tartar, which is pretty much pure potassium, in your water, and also supplement on magnesium. Those things will help you stay positively charged. So I jumped the gun a bit on my last point. The next point is make sure you're drinking enough water. So what fasting does, it promotes cell apoptosis. It's basically the killing of old cells and renewing them, so recycling them. But we need to remove those old cells and the toxins contained within those cells. We need water to flush these out, otherwise they just basically remain in your body, and that's something you definitely don't want to do. So you need to make sure you're drinking enough water to get rid of these toxins and encourage that cell renewal process. Okay, so Bulletproof community, I love you. Please don't kill me. Do not consume Bulletproof coffee while you are fasting. It will break a fast. It will elicit a metabolic response. So what it's going to do is it will encourage you to use the fats from the actual foods themselves rather than using them from the stored form, which we're trying to promote while we're fasting. So it'll interfere with the whole fasting process. It'll end your fast there and then. Fats coming from either coconut oil, MCT oils, butter, ghee, anything like that. Look, if you're not fasting, it's a great option. But again, if you're looking to lose fat, it's not a great option. If you're fasting or not fasting, either way is a bad option because it's adding a significant amount of calories to your diet. And if you're looking to lose weight, you want to minimize the calories you drink, and you want to increase the amount of whole food sources you're eating, stuff which is nutrient dense. You do not want to be drinking your calories. Do not. Just stick to black coffee if you're fasting, and also stick to black coffee if you're looking to lose weight and you don't want to add excess calories for no real good reason. I mean, there's a good reason. It does prolong the effects of coffee, but it's not going to help you towards your goals. And let's always remember your goals. And the final one, I saved this for last because I didn't want you to tune off. I didn't want to switch us off. No. Black coffee, whatever you want to call it, just coffee in general. Don't have too much coffee. If you drink too much coffee on an empty stomach, you can actually mess up your gut. Not only can you mess up your gut, which is going to affect your digestion later on, you can also cause a stress response. So fasting actually releases norepinephrine, and puts you in a sympathetic state. Having excess coffee will enhance this effect. Enhancing this effect will actually make you seriously anxious at times. So I would give that a miss. And if you are having coffee at all, have it early on, not too early on in the morning. I would suggest 2 to 3 hours after waking up, have your coffee then, and try and stick to that one coffee. And then the rest, you can have decaf, you can have green teas, which have, well, green tea has a very small amount of caffeine in, decaf has virtually no caffeine in there. So stick to those throughout the day. Other herbal teas like rooibos tea, peppermint tea, those won't break a fast as well. But remember, just stick to that one coffee a day if you can. If you're currently on 2, try and replace 1 for a decaf coffee. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a massive thumbs up, click that subscribe button, hit that bell notifications for all future videos. I'm trying my best to put out 1 video a week. Things are very busy at the moment. I'm doing a lot of studying. I'm working as a coach full time, but things are busy, but I'm still trying my best to put out as much content as possible. At the moment, it's only once a week. Hopefully in the future, I will increase this amount, and definitely will do cooking videos very soon. So until the next video, keep pushing those limits.